For the sake of journaling, this is a journal date for the end of September. Today's the 30th. Well, I believe it's the 30th. My boss comes back tomorrow. He's been out for 2 months with back surgery, spinal surgery. And, I've kind of been standing in the gap during that time. And keep in mind, there's been no extra money. There's been no extra benefit. There has been nothing like that. In fact, except for the very first day when he went out, there was never any real mention of me standing in the gap. The GM has claimed all the title of acting chief engineer. But for the day-to-day workings and routines and organization and everything, it's all been mine. So there's been a lot of extra mental and emotional stuff going on. So, I'll be glad when my boss gets back, and hopefully he'll say, well done. I did a lot of stuff while he was gone that he probably wouldn't have done while he was here, simply because it wasn't in his nature to give me that freedom, such as cleaning up and organizing and getting rid of a bunch of trash. But I did it anyway because I thought it was best for him, for the hotel, and for the crew as well, what little crew we had. For a week of that time, I was by myself for a little over a week, and all of that time, it's been me and a part-time guy, and for about a month of the 2 months, it's been we had a guy in there a kid who was, I tell you, more trouble than he was worth. The time it taught to train, the effort it took to go back and check his work and find out he never did what he said he did, the emotional stress of his lying, and it's just so much. I wish he'd have never been hired, but he left. He just no-called, no-showed, then called that day to say he'd found a better job and expected us to be overjoyed for him. I was just nonplussed. But I got to tell you, through this whole situation, God has really, if you set your heart toward God, if God is your primary, if you work for God, God will, He's unchanging, and He will, bosses may change, situations may change, but God doesn't change. God remains the same, and He will continue. If you are His pupil, He will continue to teach you no matter what the setting, whether it's an outdoor setting or whether it's a in-class setting. So, God is the same. He's a wonderful God. And He's continued to mentor me throughout all these changes and everything. And I have no doubt that He will continue to mentor me as long as I continue to sit at His feet. I am glad my boss is back, because now I'll be able to hopefully, give more attention to the things of God, because I'll have to give less at work in terms of, baggage. I'll also hopefully be back on a straight routine, which, although mine hasn't varied that much, I very much appreciate a straight routine, because that way I don't even worry about, do I have to be in today at 12, or do I come in at 2:30, or I don't even have to think about that stuff. I just do it by rote. So anyway, so that is the journal for my work. As far as my living situation, it has not changed. There has been nothing that has changed in it one iota. It goes in cycles. It goes around. My landlord, friend, roommate continues to suffer, continues to go through a lot of angst and anxiousness, and sometimes he gets in deeper and sometimes he doesn't. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre to me. It has been a real experience there too, learning to let go and learning that not to be codependent upon his stuff, because it's my nature, I guess, to be codependent. I start to feel responsible for people and things that I have no control over, that I have no control whatsoever over, and it makes me very frustrated. I don't know if that's the definition of codependence, but I do know that sometimes I support his I cushion is a better word, I guess. I cushion some of the repercussions of his life choices. So that's that. Now, as to my wife, we're still married, still trying to get all those bills paid off. I don't think she pays as much from her pocket as it's just coming out of my own pocket. It is my debt. But the agreement is, she seems to be sticking to that we not divorce until all the bills are paid off from my end. And that seems to be what's taking place. She does the phone, my phone is still in her name, so I pay for that to her. I still pay for toward my bills. She pays my rent out of, we still have the joint checking account, so my check goes in, she sends a check to my landlords, which is really my roommate, Adam's sister, who lives up north. She actually owns the house, so my rent goes to her. Still $300 a month, can't get better than that anywhere I've ever seen, so, there's a compensation for living with the dirt and the crazy drama and all of that stuff. And that is the compensation, I suppose. What else? Well, so anyway, there's a couple other things that comes out of my check that my wife pays, but primarily, for the most part, I think she gets about a couple $100 a month or more that she puts toward, my bills. So I try to live off of one credit card that is $500 a month, and I've recently asked her, is it reasonable to expect that I live off of $100 a week, including that's my gas and my haircuts, my stuff, my food. And she seemed to feel that $100 a week was reasonable, and that's what I think. So that's kind of my budget, $400 a month. I come up on my birthday on the 6th of October, and I'll be 61. So in another year, if I make it to another year, if the Lord lets me go another year, that will make me 62. And I have no idea what Social Security will be at that time, but you can bet I am grabbing it. Oh yeah. At least as far as I see now, I'll be grabbing it. Now, emotionally and spiritually, and mentally toward my wife. This will be the last part of this video journey. She's still, to my knowledge, living with Aaron, a man she's been with now for probably a year, I guess, since I've been out, and maybe longer than that if he was the one she hooked up with online after, an assortment of others. I mean, I hate to be so nasty about it, but I'm not being nasty. That's just the truth of it. So, I'm not being nasty at all. If it's nasty, it was because she went into nasty. We're still on a friendly basis. I don't know if the money is keeping us together. I have no idea. She's very practical, so it could be just the money that's keeping her in touch with me, because she doesn't ever call to talk. She sometimes ignores when I get emotional from time to time and send her a text saying, I love you, I miss you, or something to that effect. It pretty much gets ignored. I have no idea what goes on in her head. She doesn't talk. She's not a person to discuss her emotions anyway, or never has been in the past. So I don't know. I don't know. I have come to accept the fact that quite possibly, I've come to accept the fact that she kind of wants to ignore me and pretend I'm not there and accept me on her terms, not my terms. I think that is the way she also relates to God. But I have no way of knowing. I know she does a lot of good deeds. I know that there's people hurting around her who she's serving, and serving is definitely in her nature when she has the patience to serve, which she seems to be doing. So I don't know, was that a part of her that I just had lost in the marriage, or was that something she has went to now, or is that her idea of serving God? I have no way of knowing. I don't talk with her, so I love her very much. I choose to see her in the light of God. I choose to see her giving her heart to God, and in such reuniting, her and I reuniting, and her and I becoming a team for the Lord. That's what I choose. That's what I hope. That's what I put my faith toward. How awesome that would be. How amazingly awesome that would be. And what an amazingly wonderful testimony. Anything that was broken in the past, I feel God can heal. I think only God could heal. I think had I not turned my heart to God for the salvation of myself, I don't think I could ever be in a position to forgive and forget the actions that my wife has taken in the past year and a half. But because of God, I can, and I would. So, but I have come to understand that God gives us free will. And in spite of God, in spite of my wife, whatever she may choose, my road remains the same. I am on the road of Christ. That is the road I'm on. That's the road of my salvation. So, he never turned, he never left, he never, even all those years that I was separated from him. And I hope that my heart stays toward my wife, however long it takes for her to come to him and possibly return to me. Thank you.